Hey guys, this is Camfree15 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another Classroom of the Elite Season 2 episode review for you guys. As now, I guess you can say the truth about Kushida's middle school classroom has been revealed, and why we know or why Kushida is the character she is today. And after I watched this episode, I'm like, Horikita wants to help Kushida. She quote unquote wants to change her for the better and get her on their side. After hearing this, hearing her freaking backstory, I'm like, she's not worth it. I don't care how cute she is, how adorable she may come off as. I don't care. She does not deserve my help because this girl is crazy. She is a psychopath, pretty much. But yeah, this week's episode, it continues this whole final exam arc that I'm guessing they're going through. And again, it's a whole thing creating these study groups. Aina Koji is kind of forced to go to this one study group by Horikita to see what's going on, because we find out that two of the pairs, they actually are really, I guess you can say they're good. They're both bad in the same areas in terms of testing, but they're both good in the same exact areas, which that's a very interesting pair to put with. But the thing is, Aina Koji, along with one of the other characters, pretty much goes on to just help them study to make sure that they get good grades on the stuff that they're weakest at. And then Horikita pretty much asks Aina Koji to come to her study group, even though he seemingly felt like he didn't want to go there, but he ends up going there regardless. We see the one girl that was been hit that, confessed to him last week, pretty much, I guess in a way, hit on him. Like, she's like asking like, hey, I never knew you knew all this other stuff and everything. And then we also do find out, like, one of the students in their class says, hey, you need to stop hiding things from us. If you're good at something, just keep them hidden. But he's like, no, dude, I'm just average, bro. And we see how, like, one of the girls, I think it was in the first group, the first trade group he was in, one of the girls didn't really see what was going on with him, so she doesn't really think highly of Aina Koji. But again, like I said, I guarantee that girl probably would have been freaking drooling, just like the one girl's drooling all over Aina Koji. But yeah, that's the whole thing. Kushida's their whole study group is over, and Aina Koji and Horikita have a talk. And the talk is pretty much centered around, Kushida, and this whole aspect of like, well, we need to freaking decide, like, hey, we might need to come up with questions that might seem a little bit like dice. You're on the limit of where, to the point, let's see what questions teachers will turn down in the manner that they are asked, so we get a good idea of what Class C could potentially do. Also in the meantime, Horikita also talks to Kushida and pretty much throws down the gauntlet, throws down a bet with her. And it's this whole bet of the fact that, well, if Horikita loses, she will be expelled. If Kushida loses, well then Kushida will pretty much have to drop the angle of wanting to expel Horikita. And I'm guessing, in a way, play nice, because we know Horikita wants to find a way to save Kushida and become friends with her, and turn them on their side. But we know Kushida kind of isn't feeling that. Now, they come to an agreement, and obviously you're asking, like, well, if they're coming to agreement, who's going to actually, make sure that this bet is being honored? Because they could just go back on their word. And we have it to where Horikita's brother, the former class president, pretty much comes in and says, I'll be the person being the judge, and I'll monitor the scores and see everything. So that's kind of the thing. And the subject that they're choosing for is math. Whoever gets the higher score individually will either win or lose the bet. Now, the one crazy thing that Kushida already knew is she knew that Aina Koji was already on the phone. She's like, oh, Aina Koji, I would like to talk to you too. So why don't you just get off your phone and you come meet me? And that's when we get the end of the episode, or near the end of the episode, and pretty much Kushida throws down a bet to Aina Koji. She's like, listen, how about this? I give you a bet. If Horikita loses, you're not only Horikita's expelled, but you're expelled too. And at first Horikita's not down with that. But then Ayanokoji, he's completely fine. And I forgot to make a mention point. Ayanokoji actually gets an email from Ryuen, and he's wondering who he is because pretty much the sender, Ayanokoji's, I guess you can say persona is Mastermind. And Ryuen is catching on to Ayanokoji. And he wants to ask, like, okay, who are you and stuff like that. So I don't know if he's trying to provoke a response by saying, I don't know if he's trying to provoke a response by saying pretty much, I don't know. I don't know if he's trying to provoke a response by trying to realize, like, oh no, yes, it is him. But Ayanokoji kind of batted it down, like he paid no mind to it. So we'll definitely have to see. We'll definitely have to see where that storyline goes. But I'm going back to the Kushida stuff. Ayanokoji's down with it, and he's like, okay, cool. Then if that's the case, then I want my bet of my own. Tell me, what if we win? Tell me what your past entails. Tell me what really happened in your past. And I guess this bet is dead now, or I guess Ayanokoji's side of the bet is dead because Kushida is just like, wow, you really want to know what happened in my past, don't you? Really? Well, okay, sure, I'll tell you. And she pretty much goes on to talk about how in the past, she in elementary school, she got all this praise and recognition, and a lot of people talked about her in a highly manner, and a lot of people ended up liking her. Now, that ended up changing a little bit in middle school, because in middle school, that's kind of like, I guess you can that's pretty much pre-high school. And all these other individuals are doing all these tasks, and things changed because, well, Kushida wasn't being as much talked about like she thought she was, which that technically really can't happen in high school or in junior high. When you go to junior high, in elementary school, you can be known as the kid that was doing everything. You can be known as like the athletic kid, the smartest kid, and then guess what? You get to junior high, everybody freaking forgets about that, and they're like, oh, him, yeah, that's all and dandy, and they kind of have their own other things that they got going on. That's just junior high, because people grow up, and they kind of, in a way, you can say junior high kind of changes people for the wrong or right reason sometimes. But that's definitely a trope out of junior high, because in elementary school, you can be the main focal point of the class. And then you get to junior high, people just be like, oh yeah, he was good in elementary school, but man, he's nothing really special here at junior high, so I could care less. And we have it, and we pretty much see it to where Kushida didn't like the fact that all these other people were kind of getting some, getting attention, and they were getting some focus. So she took upon herself to try to take up pretty much everything the school offered. So she did everything she could to get the most praise and people saying good things about her, and she pretty much enjoyed that. But we see how she ended up getting stressed out with all these tasks and everything, and it ended up making this dark side of her just come out. And we see how she creates a blog, she says, and she pretty much talks like actually saying like shit on her classmates and everything. Like, I think she called like this one girl like a little cute little princess trying to act or something like that, and she was just doing that in a way to, I guess, relieve some of that tension, that stress, as she calls it, so she can feel better and just be like, go on to make the praise. Now, they make the phrase like a couple of times, like, getting all this praise and recognition can end up turning somebody into a monster, creating a monster. And that's kind of what Kushida is. Getting all this praise and everything, she sees this, it's pretty much creating a monster, because it's a character that just wants only people to focus on her, and give her all these praise, but she's willing to freaking become a monster and tear people down. And we find out that her classmates found her blog, They don't know if it was Kushida, but they pretty much deduced that it was Kushida, and they're pretty much saying like, why would you say things about us like that? Like, how could you do that? And pretty much, you have guys and girls saying like, we thought you were cool, I don't like you, and they were saying kind of these horrible things, but Kushida was kind of just sitting there, and she's like, and that's when pretty much Kushida pretty much says to Horikita and Ayano Koji, well, you see, I knew a bunch of secrets, a lot of I found out in my time, and I pretty much sprung it upon the entire class, and because of it, it made the class internally fight with themselves, where, you can say a bunch of stuff, like, for example, like one of the things, like, oh, this girl cheated on you, and then I guess these two girls were fighting and stuff like that, and that's how she pretty much turned the entire class against each other, and she became the person she is today. While she's pretty much a manipulative type of character that just wants all this praise and recognition, and if she's willing to destroy an entire class, she's willing to do that. And that's pretty much kind of what she says, and she's like, well, that's my story, so yeah, I'm looking forward to this and everything, this exam. And to kind of see, like, Horikita, you really want to save this girl? You really want to turn this girl to the side? Yeah, no, I don't want this girl on my side. This girl is a crazy freaking lunatic. She wants all this praise and recollection only to freaking break an entire class down and stuff like that. Now, I think the reason why she turned out this way is because the stress. Her taking on all these tasks in junior high, trying to get all this praise and recognition for what it did, it ended up turning her into a monster because of her stress. It's just too much on her plate that she could do in an effort to try to just have everybody just like her. And pretty much she was getting back at people in kind of a messed up type of way because of their character, or I guess the way they seemingly put on a fake facade. And trust me, like I said, I know in junior high and high school there are people out there that put on fake facades, and there are people out there that they play the whole happy-go-lucky face, like they're all cool and popular and stuff like that, and then behind the scenes they're actually kind of dumb. They're kind of actually rude people. I haven't experienced that, but you can say I went through high school and I could tell, like, oh, I bet you this person is a whole different character than we thought it was. But a solid episode of Class from the Elite. We find out the backstory of what happened with Kushida and why she is the character today she is, why she's the I guess you can say master manipulator slash somebody that will do whatever it is to benefit herself. So it's gonna be very interesting. I'm guessing next week will be the final exams, and Horikita's pretty much got to beat her to have Kushida not expel her, and Ayano Koji. So it's gonna be interesting. Obviously, Kushida is going to win Kushida is not going to win. Horikita is going to win because why would they expel the main characters of the series? But unless they shock me, and they actually have Horikita lose, it'll be very interesting, But this is another solid episode of Classroom the Elite. If you guys like the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's episode of Classroom the Elite, as well as hit the subscribe button. If you want to get more Classroom the Elite content or any other anime content, I upload to the channel. Till then, guys, catch you guys later. Stay safe out there. Peace.